Hey, what's up? Adam Pullman here. Welcome to the channel. This video, what I'm about to walk you through is hopefully going to be one of the most valuable things that you have seen on YouTube in a long time. I'm going to walk you through step by step with my lifestyle, my training, my nutrition, how I built over 8 pounds of lean body mass in 6 months and lost body fat in the process. I'm going to give you everything that I did. I'm going to give you my exact workouts that I did, and you can steal everything and use it yourself. I'm going to give you my free calorie calculator that I custom built for my clients and give it to you for free, which you can get in the description. You're going to get so much stuff for free. But I'm going to tell you this before we dive in. This is not going to be one of those fancy YouTube videos. I'm not going to make a majority of my YouTube videos that way. I just want to give you valuable information. So if your short attention span can't handle the lack of edits, cuts, anything like that, you want something that kind of hits that dopamine all the time, just leave. Honestly, just leave. I am here to provide you with an insane amount of value. I am here for people who want to learn, who want to improve, who care about their physique, their health, their fitness, and they want to improve it. There's something that they don't like about where they are now, and they are unwilling to settle for that, and they want to have valuable information that helps them make a change that they can use today. That's who these videos are for. So if you're just looking for infotainment, you want these quick jump cuts, flashes, fancy this, fancy that, like don't even freaking bother, okay? This video, like I said, is here for high value. High value. And I'm confident if you take everything that I give you here, steal it, use it starting today, over the course of a few months, you will probably see more change in your physique than you have seen in a long freaking time. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, here we go. Let's dive in. My name, again, is Adam Pullman. I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist. I have all these other certifications here. Nobody really freaking cares for the most part. I've been coaching for over 10 years now. A little bit of backstory for me. I grew up playing baseball. I went to college to play baseball, and a lot of my identity was locked into baseball. Once that fell through, I was at a crisis in my life. I found fitness as a way of escape, and I ended up falling in love with fitness. I love the way I could see a direct result from the work I was putting in to the changes I could see in my performance, the changes I could see in my body. It felt so rewarding. But I ended up putting way too much of my identity into fitness, and I became obsessed with being the big guy, trying to be as muscular as I possibly could, trying to be as heavy as I possibly could. And I ended up putting myself in a poor position because I was so obsessed with getting bigger and eating more that I ended up gaining too much body fat and just couldn't realize it at the time because I had this unhealthy obsession, this unhealthy identity attachment to my body composition. After a while, I was able to snap out of that, break through that, and end up getting in the best shape of my entire life, enjoying life to the full, and not hyper obsessing over how much muscle I had, how much fat I had, so on and so forth. And I'm going to walk you through a lot of the strategies and tactics that I have used to get to that point, but more specifically, the strategies that I use to have one of the, in my opinion, greatest body composition changes I've had as someone who has been lifting for a very long time. These are results that I would have expected to see from someone who was brand new to lifting, but with a few tweaks in my training, I believe that was the big contributing factor. I was able to make this happen as someone who's been training and working out for over a decade. And again, I've been coaching people like you for over a decade as well, okay? These are some of the amazing client results that we've been able to see using these same strategies and tactics with people like you. So Eric, for example, he came to me very frustrated, and we'll walk through the strategies here in a second. I just want to share with you some real everyday people, because a lot of people believe that this stuff just works for personal trainers, right? Because we're super motivated all the time, we're hyped up, we know exactly what we're doing all the freaking time, and it doesn't work for everyday people who have lives, schedules, kids, work, whatever. That's not true. It absolutely works for people like you. Eric, he is a manager slash business owner. He's a very, very busy schedule, very demanding schedule. But anyway, he came to me when he was overweight, out of shape. He was working out regularly, but he just didn't have any specific things dialed in. He wasn't paying attention to the nuances and the details. We needed to make some minor tweaks. And he was really skeptical, honestly, coming to work with me because at the time I think in my early 20s, pretty brand new to this, but at the time I was confident I could help him. And I said, just give me a few months and we were able to make things happen. He ended up getting down to 10% body fat at one point. He said he hadn't been in this great a shape since high school, and he's absolutely crushing it. I follow up with him every year or so. He's been able to maintain this physique for over 5 years without making any major sacrifices. My client Troy, very similar situation. He's a guy in his late 50s, a stage in life when a lot of guys and women just give up. They just roll over and accept things as they are because they're like, oh, it's not as easy as it was when I was 20, 21, 22, 25, whatever. So this is just the way things are. Everybody my age is kind of crumbling. No, not Troy. He wasn't willing to settle, and he was putting the work in, but just wasn't seeing the results. So we also needed to make some tweaks to his programming, his nutrition, and whatnot. And he ended up losing over 24 pounds of fat in just over 4 months. And this was taken 4 months into working together. He's seen even more progress since then, has built crazy strength, built crazy muscle. His confidence is through the roof. I mean, the wins are out of control with your boy Troy. That rhymed. Also, my client Kevin here, similar situation, ended up getting abs at this later stage of life without giving up all of his favorite foods. My client Josh here, a lot of people would look at him and be like, hey, you're not that out of shape. And it's true. He wasn't. He was just really frustrated with this stubborn fat he just couldn't seem to lose. Well, we made some few adjustments, and in 12 weeks, he lost 12 pounds, even more than that after our time together, because he made those minor tweaks and was super consistent. And a lot of people would be like, oh, 12 pounds, that's not that big of a deal. But he really wasn't that overweight or out of shape in the first place. He already had some ab definition. He was just struggling with that last little bit. He ended up gaining muscle, losing over 12 pounds, drastically changing his physique, which, by the way, this was only with a pair of adjustable dumbbells and a bench at home. You don't need a whole fancy gym to be able to make this happen. Same with my client Brady, ended up losing 24 pounds of fat, gained 3 pounds of muscle over the course of a few short months, has maintained this ever since. Quality of life is so much better. Confidence is way better. His productivity is through the roof, and he's got absolute confidence that he can maintain this for the rest of his life. So this stuff freaking works, all right? Now, let's talk about what you are here for. This is how I gained over 8 pounds of lean body mass in 6 months and actually ended up losing fat as well. All right. This is a picture of my DEXA scan. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, you know, DEXA scans are still a little sensitive to hydration. You probably just had some fluid in you, and that's why the lean body mass was higher. Yeah, maybe. Except I got both of these tests fasted. No food, no water, no coffee, no nothing. Fasted first thing in the morning to make sure the conditions were as similar as they possibly could between test 1 and test 2. Okay. So my first test, you can see here, I was 192.1 pounds, went up to just under 200 pounds. I had a decrease of fat mass by 0.8 pounds from 24.4 pounds of fat mass to 23.6, and then had an increase of 8.7 pounds of lean body mass over that period of time. Now, a lot of people might say too, well, hey, Adam, lean body mass is also bone mineral content, which DEXA scan measures. And that's absolutely right. So it is possible that I gained a good amount of, I increased my bone density quite a bit. However, considering I had been lifting for so long, so consistently, didn't introduce any new big movements that would have contributed to an increase in bone density like that, I'm really skeptical and don't really feel confident in saying a huge part of that increase is from bone density. I really do believe that it was muscle tissue. Okay. I could notice it in my strength, in my physique, my clothes, my pictures, all that good stuff. All right. So here's exactly how I did this with my nutrition. All right. I first calculated and aimed for a 5% surplus. Now, this is initially where people are going to get hung up and be like, wait a minute, you lost body fat. How was that possible? There's no way you were in a surplus. Well, I did the calculation and I ended up actually being in about a 5% surplus, because if you take the calories that are in a pound of muscle tissue and the calories that are in a pound of fat mass and calculate the difference between the muscle tissue gain and the fat loss, there were more calories gained than there were lost over this period of time. Therefore, I was in a tiny surplus. Okay. So what I did here at the time is estimated my maintenance calories and then ended up calculating or multiplying my maintenance calories by 1.05. 1 would be maintenance, obviously. Anything less than 1 would be a deficit. Anything over 1 would be a surplus. So 1.05 would be a 5% surplus. Now, I am going to give you the calorie calculator that I use to get this estimate. I'm going to put it in the description below. You can totally steal the calorie calculator, use it on your own, however you want to. to figure out how many calories you need to lose body fat, build muscle, or do both. But just remember, it is a starting point. It is not a hard and fast rule. It is not a law. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind. If for some reason you are not seeing the results that you want to, your average weight isn't going down on the scale, you're not seeing change in the mirror, anything like that, odds are you are not tracking your food properly, which we'll talk about in a second, or you miscalculated your calorie intake by not getting your body fat percentage right, overestimating your activity level, tons of different things that could be going on there. So just use it as a guideline to get some, like, you know, those bumper plates in the bowling alley, or those bumper bars that come up, right? Your goal is to have something that kind of keeps you within what you need to get to where you want to be. And then as you figure out what's working and what's not working, you start to make those shorter and shorter over time. And you get a really good idea of the specific calorie deficit that you need to lose body fat, build muscle, or the surplus that you want to build muscle while maintaining body fat, maybe even losing a little bit of body fat, whatever it is. Okay. So again, a lot of talking. That's going to be in the description. You can get that for free in the description down there. Completely steal it. Use it today to figure out how many calories you need. Okay. Next, I had a minimum of 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight every single day. Yes, I was using protein powder. Absolutely. Of course I was. I think too many people are afraid of using protein powder. They're like, oh, it's a processed food. I need to have meat all the time. That's good and well. Like, go for having whole natural nutrient-dense foods as much as possible. I'm all for that. But when you are trying to meet a certain calorie goal, eat a certain amount of protein, odds are you're going to need to utilize some protein powder to make it a little easier to do so. Now, you can eat more protein than that. Some people can build muscle eating less protein than that. But generally, 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight, unless you are morbidly obese, is a pretty good place to be. From there, this is something that is so extremely underrated, and I have no idea why people don't talk about it. No freaking clue. I have no idea. I ate 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories, okay? This helped me focus on prioritizing whole, natural, nutrient-dense foods. I did not allow myself to try to hit a fiber target through supplements, because when you hit a fiber target, it is going to force you to have more fruits and veggies and some grains and starches that are higher in fiber in your diet, which means you are going to enjoy your diet more because you're going to be more satiated. You're going to be fuller. And that is the key in making sure that you don't consistently overeat. Enjoying your diet from like a flavor perspective and the foods that you enjoy perspective, and also killing hunger. Absolutely killing hunger. And chasing a fiber goal is a great indirect way to do that. Okay. Nobody talks about fiber enough. I have no freaking idea why. Carnivore people might freak out in the comments. I don't really care, to be honest with you. 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories consumed. Okay. Next. And by the way, any app that you use will track that. MyFitnessPal, Macros First, Fat Secret, MyNet Diary, Chronometer, all of them will tell you how many grams of fiber you've had each day. Just something you can kind of pay attention to. Now, I will say, your fiber goal is not going to be something that's like a direct impact on your body composition. Again, your fiber focus helps you improve your diet. Your improvement in your diet helps you improve your body composition / your physique. Okay. So it's not 100% necessary, but it is a little bit of a hack that does go a long way. Next, I tracked my food. Okay. You need to freaking track your food when you are serious about making body composition changes. This is something I could have done better, for sure. There were some days where I didn't track accurately, some days where I didn't track at all. I was still going out to eat, going on date nights with my wife, getting ice cream here and there. I tracked everything like as best as I possibly could, but on some trips, like we went to Mexico for a little bit, I didn't track, right? So I could have been much more specific with that. But when you are in control, you need to be tracking your food. Research shows there's a wide range by which we can underestimate our calorie intake. Anything from as little as a few hundred calories a day, which, by the way, nutrition professionals have been shown to do, all the way up towards 1,000 calories a day. People will think that they ate 1,000 calories less than they actually did in research. You are not an exception to the freaking rule. Calories will determine the change in your body composition. Okay, obviously in addition to your training and whatnot, but calories are going to dictate that. So you need to have an understanding of what you are actually consuming. Track accurately. No tablespoons, cups, a handful of this. Use grams. Weigh it out. And I know what a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, it sounds like so much work. It is at first because you're not used to it. That's okay. But it becomes a breeze as you practice. It takes me less than 5 minutes every day to track my food. Not a big deal. When it comes to the amount of work put in to the payoff in terms of how my confidence is, like how good I feel in my body, how confident I am when I take my shirt off at the pool, what my body's able to do, like I will gladly track my food for 5 minutes a day to get that end result, okay? Tracking also helps you realize why you may or may not be reaching certain goals. If you're not tracking and you're not seeing your average weight go down, you're not sure what it is. It could be you're not getting enough steps in the day. It could be you're over consuming on your food. Could be you miscalculated. You got no freaking clue. You need to have that GPS, and tracking is kind of like having a GPS for your body when you're trying to lose body fat and build muscle. All right, let's go into the next slide here. Okay. Supplementation. A lot of people have asked me during this time when I posted this on social media, they were like, well, what supplements were you taking? What did you do? I didn't take anything other than protein powder and creatine. That was it. Just 5 grams of creatine daily. And then I use whey isolate protein powder. You can use pea protein if you want to, plant protein, other sources of plant protein. I would look for pea and rice combined because that's probably going to give you a better amino acid profile, but you can also do bone broth protein. It doesn't matter. Whatever you enjoy and whatever you can use regularly that agrees with your stomach and helps you get your protein goals, you're fine. And I would argue you don't even need the 5 grams of creatine to be able to make this happen either. Now, this is where a lot of people will say, oh, well, you had creatine. And so you probably had an increase in water retention, and therefore that's why your lean body mass was higher. Maybe, but I was taking creatine regularly before this as well. So the odds that I just had a random spike in water retention as a result of my already existing creatine intake are extremely, extremely low. Okay. Activity. This is where a lot of people mess up as well. I was tracking my steps every single day. I was averaging around 12,000 steps a day. All right. Now, I harp on this quite a bit more when the main goal is fat loss, not necessarily building muscle. But I would argue that I don't even argue it, it's true. Having the 12,000 steps a day allowed my calorie budget to be a lot bigger. And I was able to include things that other people getting fewer steps might have to cut out in order to meet their calorie goals. So I was still having ice cream on a regular basis. I was having goodies here and there because I was getting so much activity in. I was going 12,000 steps a day at minimum. Okay. Well, I guess not minimum, average. Like 10,000 steps was a really low day for me. So you want to make sure you're getting steps in, and not just for what it does for your body composition, but like, hey, what does this do for the ability or for your mood, your productivity, getting out of the house, getting out of the office, getting some vitamin D? There is a payoff that can compound and snowball and snowball and snowball just from walking alone. It would be silly not to increase your steps, even if your goal isn't changing your body composition, okay? And this is huge as well because so many people bust their butt in their workout, right? They're doing all the cardio, they're doing all the weights, they're doing very little rest in between sets so they can burn more calories, and it's all this circuit stuff. And the reality is you don't burn as many calories in your workout as you think you do. It can make up a very small portion, like 5 to 10, maybe even 15%, and that's generous, of the amount of calories that you burn on a regular basis. Whereas your activity outside of formal exercise, what people call non-exercise activity thermogenesis, walking, doing chores around the house, me moving my hands like this, fidgeting, will make up a much bigger portion of the total daily calories you burn in the day. Plus, you don't really need to recover from walking. It's much easier to implement. You're not going to the gym to do it. You just get up off your butt and move. That's literally it. Okay. So again, on that note, don't think you're burning that many calories in your workout because you're not. And most definitely do not rely on what your wearable is telling you in terms of how many calories you burned. So many people are like, oh, my Apple Watch says I burned 800 calories in my workout, so I'm going to add 800 calories to my diet. And they sit there and wonder why they're not losing body fat. Don't do that. Wearables can have a massive, massive percentage of error, anywhere from like 10%, I need to double check. It might be less than 10%, but it can go all the way up to the 90s in terms of inaccuracy, 90 something percent. There's no point in messing with that. Don't pay attention to how many calories your wearable says you burn. Use my free calorie calculator in the description, and then you'll factor your activity there. Then with that calorie deficit or surplus or whatever it is that you have for your calorie needs, don't add anything to that because you've already factored in your activity when you use my free calorie calculator. Lifestyle wise, okay? My sleep could have been much better. I was not very disciplined with my sleep, my nightly routines, anything like that at that time, okay? I was getting maybe 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep each night. I don't wear a wearable. That number could be off. I don't know with 100% certainty, but it wasn't horrible. Okay, so anywhere you can improve your sleep, it's going to make a difference. There was a study that looked at people who slept, I think, it was either 5 or 5.5 hours, and the other group slept 7.5 hours. And the group that slept less built 50% less muscle and gained 50% more body fat. And I do believe they controlled for calorie intake, exercise, training, and all that stuff, but you might have to fact check me, okay? That's profound. Get as much sleep as you possibly can. An extra 15 minutes, 10 minutes is going to make a big, big difference when it comes to the results that you have in your body composition and what your body does with the calories that you are consuming, how you're able to recover, how you're able to perform in your lifts. If you're constantly tired and not performing well in your lifts, that is going to impact how much weight you can lift, therefore how much tension you have on your muscles, therefore how much muscle you build. It is a snowball effect. Okay. Stress for me was low. I'm a low stress person for the most part, but I'm a Christian, so prayer and setting boundaries in my life was a massive, massive help. So included things like charging my phone in a different room at night and turning do not disturb on at certain times of the day. That was really, really helpful. So many people are too attached to their phone, which can either consciously or subconsciously make you feel like you are attached to the rest of the world, which gives you unnecessary stress that isn't real in terms of the current situation, the current moment, and current time. That is going to have a profound effect on your health over time. It's also going to affect your sleep. You might think it doesn't, but it will. So do anything you can to reduce your stress. Now let's get into the best part here, which is the training, okay? Because I bet this is where most of my results came from. And it's an area that I've found where most people are lacking, especially with those who are hitting it hard at the gym and they're trying to transform their body. Like, I came into the gym with intention. I was not screwing around. I was not scrolling on my phone. I was not answering emails in between sets. I had a vision and I had a goal, and I was like, I want to build 8 pounds of muscle this year, and I'm getting after it. This is my one chance this day to send that signal to my body. And so I am going to make sure every single second counts. You need to treat yourself like almost like a professional athlete. Okay, when you go to a baseball game, you're not looking at that batter in the on deck circle while they're scrolling on their phone, waiting for the guy in front of them to either get a hit or get out so they can go hit. They're focused. They're paying attention to the pitcher. What's he throwing? Fastball, slider. What's my timing? What can I read from this pitcher? Similar thing when you are working out. You're not a professional worker-outer. You're not a professional athlete. You're not a personal trainer. You're not a CrossFit athlete. That's okay. Treat it as if you were, because it's going to change the way you show up for your workouts and how you perform. Now, this is the big kicker. Instead of hammering a muscle group with lots of sets in one workout, I spread all those sets across multiple workouts. So instead of like chest day, back day, arm day, leg day, shoulder and arm day, no. I train muscle groups twice a week, not once a week. All right. And I'll walk you through my exact routine. Okay. Now, here is the big switch in addition to that I think made a massive difference. Instead of following a set split or routine where it was like, okay, I work out Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and it's the same day every single week, and it's a certain amount of workouts per 7 days, I did a 3-day rotating split. Okay. So the first few months it looked like this, and I'm going to give you these exact workouts. Full body push, full body pull, rest, repeat. Every 3 days. Repeat. That was it. Okay. And then a few months into the year, I started fasting on Sundays. That was for faith reasons, not for this goal or anything like that. So I didn't want to train on those days. So then I changed it to a 5 to 6 day split. But that was later on. Like, I do believe that most of my change came from the first part, and I've seen the same thing with other clients as well. Now, I understand this. Like, you might not have the freedom and flexibility to be able to say, well, I'm just going to work out, day 1, day 2 off, day 1, day 2, day 1, day 2 off, and just keep repeating. You might have a set schedule where you truly need to have your workout days be on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, or Mondays and Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. That's okay. Figure out whatever it is you need to do to train your muscle groups 2 to 3 times a week. We want to spread those sets out across the week instead of hammering your chest with, like, let's say 5 sets or 6 sets or 7 sets or 8 sets or 9 sets in one workout. Your recovery isn't going to be as good, and you're getting less of a frequent muscle building stimulus. You're getting one muscle building stimulus, then you're waiting 7 days to do it again. You're leaving gains on the table. You're leaving results on the table. Okay. From there, okay, I train each set 1 to 2 reps short of complete failure. Now, I've been training for a long time, so I'm pretty familiar with what failure looks like, although I need to push myself quite a bit to get more and more of an understanding, because it's so easy to let ourselves believe we're working harder than we actually are, even if we've been doing this for a long time. Okay. This is a huge piece that I see a ton of people missing. And it's why I'm always telling my coaching clients to send me videos of them training, because everybody wants to think they're working harder than they actually are. But when they send me those videos, I can easily see, okay, hey, you were using 15s. We need to at least go to 25s. Because you're motoring through these reps, no problem. The speed of your first rep was the same as the speed of the last rep. So that tells me you're not really pushing it that hard. But they have this limiting belief that tells them they can only lift so much. So they need that push to tell them that they can do more. They try to do more and realize, oh my gosh, I was a lot stronger than I thought I was. I wasn't working out as much, or I wasn't pushing as hard as I thought I was. You need to do the same thing. I don't care if you're a little scared. I don't care if you're a little worried. If you're worried about not hitting the 10 reps, whatever, who cares? Your muscle doesn't understand the difference between 8 reps and 10 reps. Just go up 5 pounds and see what happens. Of course, lift safely, use the right technique. If you need a spotter, grab a spotter, but just bump the weight up. Prove to your body, let your body prove to you that it can do it, okay? And every single workout, I aim to move the same weight for more reps or the same reps for more weight. And the way I did this is I looked at the first set. The first set is the benchmark set. So let's say I needed to hit 10 reps that workout on that first set. Okay, if I hit the 10 reps, next workout, I would need to use a heavier weight. And I kept doing that until I didn't hit the 10 reps, if 10 reps was my target. So let's say I hit 8 reps. I would stay at that same weight every time I repeated that workout for that exercise on that first set until the reps went up to 9 and then 10. And then once I hit my rep target, which in this example it was 10, I bumped the weights up again. And I did that over and over and over and over, okay? So here's an example of the workouts that I did. Now I say full body push, even though everything in here you might not consider as a push. Point is, it was basically like anterior. So we're thinking quads here. We're thinking triceps, shoulders, chest is generally what I did. And then back, biceps, hamstrings, glutes, calves would have been on the other workout. Okay. But we're just using the name full body push. Don't worry about the name. Worry about what muscle groups am I training? Am I hitting all the ones I need to hit? And then can I hit them at least one more time later in the week? So my routine was literally full body push, full body pull, off, repeat. Full body push, full body pull, off, repeat, over and 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 over. And you'll notice I have 2 sets on a lot of things because they were already being hit on other exercises. This helped me recover, like push myself enough in the workout to where I could get a good muscle building stimulus, but then recover enough to where I could do it again 72 hours later, right? So if I did it on Monday, I would do Tuesday pull, off, and then do it again on Thursday. Okay. I was able to recover really, 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 really well. Now, the 90-second rest periods, I usually did about 2 minutes. Honestly, people get way too hyper-focused on the rest periods. There were some days where I had to shorten these because I had something come up. I needed to get to a client call. I needed to get to a meeting. I had work to do, whatever. And I shortened these and they were 90 seconds. Who freaking cares? Whatever. All that really mattered is that I was pushing myself. You could argue, yeah, maybe I would have built a little bit more if I was doing 2 to 3 minutes every single exercise, but I'm not worried about that. For the most part, I was doing 2 minutes. I just didn't go in and edit these because I knew in my app that I was going to need to be doing 2 minutes, so I just left it. But there were some exercises where I rested a little bit less if I had to cut the workout short, or I would superset certain exercises that didn't compete with each other. Like, for example, I would do, let's say, the leg extension and a lateral raise because those didn't compete with each other. So I supersetted those together and then was able to shave off some total workout time by shaving off some rest time for those different exercises. So I literally want you, I'll move myself right now, screenshot this and use it. Take this exact workout, use it, okay? Going on in the next one, this is what my full body pull routine looked like. All right, we went from deadlifts to pull-ups to lying leg curl to wide grip row, barbell shrug, okay? And you'll notice that my deadlifts had more sets, and I was mainly focused on strength for my deadlifts. And that's mostly a preference. I freaking love deadlifting, and I wanted to continue working on my deadlift strength, and I was definitely resting longer than 90 seconds because I was doing such a heavy weight for 2 reps there. I was probably resting 2 to 3 minutes in between sets on that one. But that one wasn't a big contributing factor to my muscle gain, I don't believe. So don't feel like you have to do as little as 2 reps. Don't focus too much on the reps for everything else either. Anything from I mean, honestly, scientifically, 5 to 30 reps is going to help you build muscle as long as you're pushing yourself. But for the sake of recovery and what muscles tend to lend themselves a little bit better to higher reps and lower reps in terms of joint stress and ease, I love being in between 6 and 12 reps for most things, okay? Generally a little bit higher for more isolation movements like bicep curls, as far as joints, tendons, ligaments, and all that stuff goes, but don't hyperfixate on that. If you literally just copy and paste this and utilize it, you're probably going to see some great change if you do it consistently over time, as long as you are training hard, okay? Now, as you can see with everything I've talked about here, there's no secret sauce. There is nothing special about what I did, maybe other than the fact that you haven't seen a 3-day rotating split before. One workout, next workout, off, repeat, right? It doesn't fit the normal split of like on Monday you do this, on Tuesday you do this. Maybe that's the one thing. Like, yes, I know how to create an effective training program. It's my profession. Do I know how to calculate my nutrition needs? Yes, it's my profession. But also, you have that free calorie calculator that I custom built for you in the description, so you can use that there. But I just did the basics consistently, and I worked really freaking hard. I was filming myself with my exercises so I could truly see, was I really pushing myself there? What did my form and technique look like? I was just focused. I was dialed in, okay? I was dialed in. Now, I didn't include this last slide. This may lead you to wonder, well, I've been doing the basics and I'm not seeing the results. If that's the case, here's what I'd say. And what I said in the next slide was like, hey, just don't compare yourself to me, right? You are not me. You have different genetics. You have different muscle origins and insertions. You have different experience, all of that stuff. It's gonna alter and tweak your results, and it's not fair to do a one-to-one comparison. Just look at yourself previously, get a DEXA scan, some sort of body composition test, but honestly, if it's not DEXA scan, I wouldn't really bother too much. Get a DEXA scan and then do this consistently for 6 months and see what happens. Get another DEXA scan. I'm telling you right now, you will see drastic change. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you can steal and utilize as much of this as possible. You can get that free calorie calculator in the description as well. Of course, leave any comments, questions. I engage with everything as much as I possibly can, and I always want to make sure I'm helpful. So be sure to ask questions, leave any thoughts in the comments as well. We'll see you.